Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends. These are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Well, I'm so excited about my guest today. I think you guys are going to be in for a treat. I say that every time because we always get amazing guests on this show, but she says that she went from being broke and broken to being a philanthropic multi-entrepreneur, from trauma survivor to soul searcher and manifesting maven, from anxious and afraid to badass iron sister. Love this. And from midlife standstill to an adventurous nomad. She says she changed her life, and so can you. And so you guys, I'm so excited to chat with her today. This is going to be so much fun. But we do have to do a quick shout out for our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine. All right, so Sabine Schoepke is a master at helping midlife professionals reinvent themselves. As a seasoned business and life coach, an engaging best-selling author, speaker, and dedicated podcaster, she embodies the spirit of transformation. But that's not all. Sabine also stands tall as a bodybuilder, showcasing her commitment to mental and emotional strength and physical prowess. Through her challenges, including personal trauma and a battle with cancer, her mantra, clarity changes minds, changes lives, is a testament to the power of clear mind and a strong mindset. So Sabine, welcome to the show. I am so excited to chat with you today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
This can be so much fun. And I know you and I got to talk like before we even did this show. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this woman. I'm like, I got to introduce you to somebody else because I love all my powerful, dynamic, and as you said, badass iron sister. I love these kind of women because I think you gals just have grit and tenacity and persistence and all the things that just make you incredible. So this is going to be fun. I'm excited.
Yes, me too.
All right. So I want to open this up because I know you're calling in from around the world now. And I want to start there because I think, when I talk about the Behind the Dreamers, I talk about living the extraordinary. And I think it's, I always say the message on this show is about showing people that people are living extraordinary lives because they're making different decisions in their lives. They're choosing to do the different. And so you've done this. And I think you've done this over and over and over. It's not been a one-time thing. But you're calling in from around the world now. And I want to start there. Like, tell us a little bit about where you are right now and what you're doing.
Okay, so I am currently sitting in a little mountain home in the German Alps, and I recently relocated to this place on December 31st. I got on a plane with 2 suitcases and from Los Angeles and arrived here in my little wooden home. And I gave up everything I had in LA. I sold my company last year. And then as my kids left home for college and I was sitting there in the house by myself, I was like, what am I doing here? So I sold the house, I sold my car, I sold all my belongings, and I narrowed it all down to 2 suitcases. And here I am.
It's so fun. This is
trying
so fun.
Something new, something different. I was ready for something different. And, so it's a journey. I've been here for 4 weeks now, and every day I discover new things that challenge me. But the first week was rough because I was really sick too, and I laid there by myself, and I'm like, what did I do? Oh my God, I have no more home, I have no more stuff, I have nothing. Like, what did I do? But in the meantime, I learned to embrace this, and I feel like every time there's another little wave of something where I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, I don't know. This is all so foreign to me. I remind myself that this is actually the stuff that makes us grow, and that this is a good thing. It's proof of things evolving, of me growing, of me becoming even more courageous. And when I look at it that way, I'm okay. I'm like, okay, So bring it on. Let's do this.
Yeah, I think this is so great. And I think people that, I always say it's unfortunate that, and I don't know all of your personal trauma and everything, but I think it's unfortunate sometimes that we have to go through these things, but I think they lay a groundwork for the resiliency and the tenacity and the boldness and all the things that come with it later in life. So there's good that comes out of all of those things, because I think it allows, people like you to be able to do things like this, get in a position where you say, you know what? I've done well, I've done good things, and I need to change the trajectory of my life and do something different.
I agree. I always say to people that I believe that our growth happens in the trenches. And I feel like a lot of things that I've experienced from at a very young age, homelessness, to when I first left Europe. I'm originally from Germany, and I left over 35 years ago, and I moved to Canada. And after I finished high school, I was on my own, and I was sitting on a park bench in Toronto. I'm like, I don't even have $3 left to my name. And I started my first company from that situation, and things like that. And then, cancer and infertility. And I was unfortunately involved in a home invasion, and like all of that stuff, where in the moment it's like, oh my God, I don't know if I can make it through that, but you can, and you come out on the other end so much stronger and so much more resilient. And I am not fearful of things anymore. Like, I don't make things up in my head anymore, like the worst case scenarios, because I'm like, whatever it is, I feel like I've seen most of it, there's nothing I can't handle. So I really think these things need to happen to make us into the people that we are today. And I often look back, and people think I'm crazy when I say I am actually grateful for the things that happened to me, because they've made me into the person that I am today, that I feel like I'm not just courageous and resilient, but I'm also way more compassionate, and I can do the work that I do today with other people, sharing and trying to help other people to, live their best lives, because I am compassionate and empathetic, because I have been in a lot of those situations.
Yeah. There's a lot there to take away from that. And I do think that, yes, you do get to a place where I think I can resonate with what you're saying when you say you're able to somewhat, and what I'm hearing, embrace what happened, because it's allowed you to be in a different position to help others and take the good away from that. So I can certainly hear that. And I think there's a lot of people that I talk to that sort of say that too. I've talked to so many people that have had different things like, deaths of spouses, due to suicide and different things in their lives. And, in the moment it's really hard, but then they come out and they're like, they're able to look at that in a different light. They're able to look at the blessing in that situation, what they could take away from that, rather than the badness of the situation itself. So
yeah, definitely. Awesome. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So I know one of the things you're passionate about is, work is helping, midlife women, which I think is so great, because I think we're all kind of in that space. And you and I probably know that I think for so many moms, they get stuck in this whole idea of, oh my gosh, kids have left home. I'm this midlife mom now, right? Like, I'm stuck and I can't do anything. And I think the opposite. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I'd love to hear your take on this, because I feel like as a woman in her 50s, right?
Right.
We have an ability, and I think owe it to ourselves to say we can do the things we want to do. Age is only a number. We can do what we want to do if we set our minds to it. It's really just us saying we're going to claim it.
I agree with you. I think there's so much good in being in your midlife, and whether it's, I don't know, 45 to 55 or even 60. I'm actually, some of my clients, some of my most amazing clients are in their 80s. Wow. They do incredible work. They are such an inspiration. And I think it's really just up to us. Like, which way do you want to look at it? Your experiences are your gifts. They're your knowledge, your wisdom. These are the things you didn't have when you were 20, and these are tools that are so, oh my God, so incredible, valuable, and like use it to your advantage, don't look at it like you're 50. Yeah. Amazing. You're 50. Let's go. Come on. We can do incredible things.
It's the
So,
wisdom, right? Like you
yes.
have wisdom that you didn't have before.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm surprised when I see young coaches and they're like in their late 20s and they seem to have all the answers. And I'm like, really? You haven't seen half of it. What are you talking about? How can you seriously give advice on stuff that you've never had kids, you've never dealt with cancer, you've never, like there's a lot of things that, like we said, they're the gifts that make us stronger. And like that wisdoms, those experiences that we've had are worth so much. So yeah, no, I think it's great. I've never felt better in my life, honestly. Like physically, emotionally, spiritually, I would not want to go back to being 20. Heck no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm with you. Well, let's talk about your bodybuilding because that leads me into that question because
Yes.
you're into, that was your thing. And that I think, I've talked to a lot of different bodybuilders and I myself have done, my own share of different things, not bodybuilding, but I was a runner and I recognize there's a lot of discipline and dedication that goes into that. And again, it goes back to those decisions to do that. So I'd love to talk a little bit about what led you into that and what your experience was with that.
So it was actually a trauma that led me into that. It was shortly before COVID, and somebody broke into my house and beat me up in my sleep and then tried to rape me. And it was a horrible experience that I really, and then what came afterwards, like the whole legal system is so messed up. Going through that was almost worse than the attack. And I suffered. I had never experienced anything like that. And you don't think that will ever happen to you either because you're like, I don't live in an area like that. I don't live a life like that, but it does happen. And I wasn't prepared for it. And I found myself like spiraling. I couldn't get out of bed. I had terrible PTSD and I was afraid. I was so scared of what might be next. And I didn't go to work anymore. I started drinking very heavily just to numb the pain, and then discovered working out. And there was, within my complex, there was an F45, a high intensity interval training. And they just opened up and they gave us little flyers. And at some point, I don't know what it was, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this out. And I went in there and I realized immediately that it made me feel better. And I ended up going sometimes 3 times a day. I would go in the morning, I'd go at night, maybe in the middle of the day when I felt like, okay, this is going downhill again. I want to drink. I want to just knock myself out. I was like, I'm going to go back in there. And it got to a point where I lost so much weight from constantly working out that, and then COVID hit and they shut down. I went to a friend of mine and I said, hey, I need to do something else, but related to working out. Like I need to actually build some muscle because I went from like 130 pounds down to barely 100 pounds. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so shaky. And I was so skinny. I was like, I need to do something else to put something on this. But I need to continue. I cannot stop doing this. And he recommended somebody, and it was a gym owner at the time. The gyms were closed, but he called me in there and he said, he looked at me and he said, okay, yeah, I can do something with you, but this is going to be up to you. I'm not going to babysit you. And I said, that's fine. So we ended up training together in the closed gym, dark. It was like Rocky. Like there was no light. There was no AC. In the dark, he would train me. And it was the most amazing experience. And I fell in love with that sport. And for me, it was that. And for somebody else, it might be something else, but I discovered something that helped me not just physically, and it wasn't about vanity. It was really getting my head in order, clearing my head and feeling good. Like the dopamine that kicks in. And I was like, okay, I'm strong. I can do this. And I felt not just physically, but emotionally stronger. And that went on. It went on for the last 4 years. And I got really heavy into that lifestyle of eating healthy and not drinking alcohol and drinking lots of water and working out and that entire community of it all that I I honestly believe it saved my life, because I have a really bad feeling where otherwise I would have gone with this. And so yeah, it's been an incredible thing that came out of something really horrible, but I discovered another part of myself that I really love, and has really helped me, to work through things.
Yeah. Wow. What a hard story too. I can't imagine what you went through with that home invasion. I just can't even imagine. That's why you probably saw my face. I was making I just can't even fathom that. And it's crazy because I just went into I don't know, a week or so ago, I was in a part of I don't know, it was like a speaking thing that one of the police, I don't know what he was, but he basically here in the city where we're at in Plano goes around and talks about, how victims are targeted and stuff. And a lot of this I've heard because I've taken, I took a self-defense class before, so I kind of know some things, but I don't know that you're ever prepared for something like that. I mean, you don't expect someone to come into your home and do something like that. So yeah, that would, these are hard things, but I think the incredible thing to your testament is that again, being able to come out of that and find something, right, and the power of exercising, we know. And, I talk about that even in my book, when I was going through my nerve condition in 2012, I had exercised for many, many years. It had been a part of my life, but I wasn't a big runner, and I became an avid runner. And we would sometimes go out and do a half marathon on Saturdays and turn around on Sunday, do another one. I mean, I was running probably 50, 60 miles easily. That wasn't sometimes even including a long run, because then I would do a long one on the weekends. But I used it, and I talk about this specifically in my book, that I used it as a way to divert the pain that I was going through. Yeah. And when I mean pain, I don't just mean physically, I mean emotionally too, because when you're dealing with something, whether it's something like you went through or a chronic condition that you cannot get rid of, and you're trying to navigate that, it wreaks havoc on your brain and on your mind and right, your well-being. And so you have to find tools to learn to cope. So thank goodness right, that you found that.
Yes. And, I'm not ashamed, obviously, to right, say it, how I was spiraling, because it's a horrible experience. And, yeah, it's just what it is. And again, I have great compassion for anybody who has to deal with any form of abuse, whether it's emotional or physical, but these are the things, like, if we take that first step of saying, let me try this. And luckily I did, let's just try this, give it a chance. Then we have a chance to get out of these holes that, we find ourselves in. And, that first step is the most important step to take, and say, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to give this a chance.
Entrepreneurs, are you ready to level up your leadership skills? Tune in now for an exclusive offer designed just for you. This is my time. Did you know 63% of consumers prefer businesses aligned with their values? Recognizing your core values isn't just vital for business growth, it's the bedrock of effective leadership. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or an aspiring creator, identifying your core values is a key step in constructing the framework of a successful leader, enabling you to lead authentically, expand your business, and live life on your terms.
I never settled on play, putting the kettle to flame. I go 100 all day, foot on the pedal, no brakes. 10, 9, paid on my dues, waited in line, 8.
Are you ready to access tools to kickstart your leadership journey? Unlock a treasure trove of insights and get your free resources at www.linktree/Jennifer Loading. Take that crucial first step toward realizing your leadership aspirations and elevate your leadership game today.
Ready to shine.
Yeah. And sometimes you just do that on blind faith. You don't always know. Sometimes, I'm sure you've found this many times. It's that first step, and then you take it. You don't really know what's going to be the outcome of that. You just know you can't stay in the situation that you're in.
Right. And even, what I've done now in the last month, people ask me, they're like, why are you doing this move? Why are you giving up everything? Your family, your friends, boyfriend, like everything. You're traveling halfway around the world to nothing. Like, there's nothing waiting for you. And it's one of those things, like, I don't know. I felt this calling to do this. And I've had a multitude of little reasons that I could argue for this.
Sure.
But there was like a million reasons against it, but you have I have at this point in my life, and that's something else I feel like we have at 50 that we don't have at 20, or we're not aware of at 20. Like
Right.
this inner calling, this instinct, this innate knowing that this is what I need to do. I can't tell you exactly why, but it feels so right, and I'm going to do this. And at this point, I have the faith in this feeling that it's going to be fine. And yes, I do not have all the answers. I don't know. I don't know exactly how this is going to work out and what I need to. I don't know the hows. I don't know, but that's
Right.
okay. And I have faith in that it's all going to reveal itself. All I need to do is take that first step. And there's many little first steps in this place. I'm like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm just going to go and try. Let's see what happens, And yeah, it all magically always works out.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think too, and wouldn't you say that you're also in that accepting responsibility too, right? Like you're saying, I'm doing this and I don't know what's going to happen. Cause I think that's what I always say about myself. I always say, I own my choices, like good or bad.
Yeah.
I'm okay. If I'm going to jump, I'm not going to jump toe in. We're going to dive in. And if it fails, it fails, but I'm going to own it. I'm going to say,
Yes.
yeah, I did that, screwed up. It's okay. And I think that's what sets people, like you free, because you can say, I'm going to do this. My intuition says this feels right. And if it screws up, it screws up. It's not the end of the world. I'll move on. I'll pick myself up and I'll just walk to the next thing.
Right. But see, for me, there's no such thing really as screwing up. Like at this point in my life, it's like, I am not going to judge myself and like say, how could you do this? How did you, like, there's no failure. There's no screwing up. There's only experiences. So honestly, like, I don't think this is going to be my final destination. I don't know. People are like, oh, you're going to come back to California. And I'm like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know.
Love it.
I'm not looking at it as like, oh, this failed and I'm back in California. No, I am loving this time of exploring, of venturing out, of exploring foods. And like, I go to Zermatt one weekend and I'm going to Athens next weekend and I'm going to Switzerland in between. And it's so cheap to travel here. It's like, there's no failure. There's really rich experiences along the way. And I'm letting it guide me to, okay, let's go explore here, go explore there, and let's see where it takes me. But I never think of this as failure. There's no failure. It's so amazing. I feel like this is what keeps us alive. When we can go out and explore our outside world, but also explore what's going on in there. Like, how does that feel? And then adjust, adapt, change, or maybe love it and say, oh my God, I didn't know I had this in me. It's such a beautiful, rich way to live instead of judging ourselves and saying, well, you might fail and then what? No.
Right. No, and I agree with you. Thank you for saying that, because I agree with you. That was probably a poor choice on my behalf anyways, because I agree with you 100%. I say everything is an experience. Like, I use that word screwed up because so many people do that, right? Like they say, I failed at this. When no, like you and I think of it. No, you didn't, because you learned something. If you know how to find the blessing in that and pick up the message, then you learn something from it. I think a lot of people sometimes, I don't say a lot, I think some people fail to pick up the message, the takeaway from it. They just say, they beat themselves up and say, I messed up, when you and I both know there's no mess up, really. It was a wrong path, but you needed to gain something from the wrong path. And in your case, and I could probably add to that and say that I think life is about experiences. I think that everything we do is about how we're bettering ourselves, those around us, and anything that we can do. If we go in that mindset of everything that we take on is just another experience to add to to our tool belt. I had a gal. I have a friend here that she worked with my kids. She's an elite runner, was an Olympic trial marathon runner. I have not forgotten her. I brought her on my show in the very beginning. We talked about this. One of the questions was, when you're standing up on the starting line with all these elite Olympic trial runners and you're up there, and I'm getting chills telling you this right now. She's standing up there. These are the best of the best in the running, right? They're trying to try out for the Olympics. what are you thinking? And she's, comes back to, I rely on my tool belt. I rely on what I know and what I've trained for and the experience, all the things that I've done that you continue to take in. So did she make it every time? No, because that's part of it. But she would have never had any of the experiences had she never tried out and was willing to risk not making it, right? So I'm with you. I don't think there are failures. I think there are lessons learned, and we have to just get really good at being grateful for those experiences, right?
Yes.
And learning to find the message that we're supposed to take away from it.
But I like you said it like that, because it made me point that out, because a lot of people do that. We're our worst critics, and we put ourselves down, and we're not very nice to ourselves, but I think we all need to remember and say, wait a second. No, you did make the best choice that you knew at the time for whatever reason. And that's good. As long as things are in integrity with who you are, for me, that's the most important. As long as it's in integrity and I'm like, yeah, I can stand for this. I will stand for my choice. Then the rest, it's just, there's only gain. There's nothing to lose,
I love it. And I love that your headspace is, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, or if I'm going to go back to California, or if I'm going to stay here. I think that's great. And I think that that's how we have to be open to opportunity and things that come, because our priorities change. We enter different phases of our lives, and we decide, at one point, when our kids are growing up, they're our priority. Not that we don't love our kids when they're older, but when they're younger, our priority is there to guide them and lead them. And then at some point they kind of take off and they're doing their lives and doing their things. And we enter into a different domain where now we have freedom to do other things. And I think that's what's beautiful, is that, when you get to a place where you're saying, I can take in these enriched experiences. I don't know where tomorrow is going to lead me. I may be doing something different, but you're living out your extraordinary. And that's really what this is all about.
Right. And I'm very grateful that I've found a way to do what I love to do at the same time. Like, I work with my clients while I'm here. It makes no difference, because they're all over the map anyways.
Right.
I record my podcast episodes. I have my mic with me or headphones, and like, I can get to do everything that I love to do no matter where I'm at. So it all fits together so perfectly. So I feel very grateful that, I get to do all of the things that I want to do. But at the same time, these are the results of our choices, and we have nobody else to blame but ourselves if it doesn't feel good. If it doesn't feel good, yes, sometimes, I would have never done this, 3 years ago when my kids were still in high school. Like, I would have never left my kids, but my kids moved on. So now it was, now it was up to me to say, okay, what am I going to do? So if I would have stayed in Redondo in California and sat there by myself in an empty house and felt sorry for myself, well, that would be my choice too. It's up to us to take the initiative and say, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. What is it going to be? What do you want? But for that, we need to get clarity on what it is that we want. And that's a process, and that's what I work with a lot of people with, and to help them figure out, what do you want? What do you actually desire? Yeah. Let's figure that out and then go for it.
Yeah, that's a hard thing for a lot of people, because you ask them that question, they don't always know, right? Like they're conditioned to think what they've been thought they want. And if they really just start digging in deep, they really start recognizing that a lot of the things they're probably doing in life aren't really in alignment with what they really want to be doing, right? And it can be a wake-up call. Sometimes you have these crises, and that's what, says, hey, what am I doing? And why are these things happening in my life? I'm not saying bad things, because bad things do happen to good people. I'm talking about when we have repetitive bad patterns that we're doing, picking poor choice, jobs, men, whatever the case is in our lives, right? These poor choices. We start looking and going, they're not in alignment with who we are and what we want in our lives. And so I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, I know it's important. It's the most important step to get clarity on that, in order to achieve your joy, your happiness, you live your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love it, Sabine. What I'd love to know from you, we said so many great takeaways in this today. I think if we were to like put the bullet points, I'm going to love when this AI thing goes in and says, take all the takeaways and we get all the bullets from this, because so many great things. But somebody right now, we talked about, getting clarity, taking ownership, being open to experiences, not looking at as missed goals as failures, but more as lessons learned, right? But maybe one thing that you would leave somebody with, that maybe they're kind of sitting in this place right now where they're going, I want to do something different tomorrow. We've told them to get clarity and take that step. Anything else you want to add that they could do differently maybe in their mindset or in their day, or something they could bring to help them make that step?
Well, I think the biggest thing holding all of us back is fear. Because there's really only two things. There's love and there's fear. So it's not love, it's fear. So recognize that, and the choices you make, start to get an awareness for it. Ask yourself and say, okay, what I'm choosing here, am I choosing this out of fear or out of love? And when I mean love, it's not just love for the thing or love for the person, for somebody else, but love for yourself.
It's good.
So get into a pattern of asking yourself, because then you're going to figure out if it's in alignment with who you truly are, like authentically are, and how you truly want to live your life. And and you got to be so honest with yourself. Like, you don't have to tell anybody else, but just be honest with yourself and say, no, I'm choosing this because I'm afraid. I'm afraid to lose that person. I'm afraid to be alone. I'm afraid to end up alone. And then you know where your work begins.
Love it. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, real quick, tell us a little bit about your podcast in case somebody wants to plug in and learn more about this.
So the podcast is called The Power Life, and it talks, especially right now, like for the last, I want to say couple of months, every week, it really shares what I'm going through up in my head, like my whole process of deciding to do this and the different phases I go through. And the funny thing is, like, I sit down and I have an idea of what I want to talk about. And then as I'm recording this, I'm actually working through my challenges. Wow. And at the end, I'm like, well, thank you very much. All right. So it's been a lot of fun to share, like to really share what's going on. And like this morning, I had 3 things I had worked on over the weekend. I'm like, oh my God, I need to record this. And I recorded 3 episodes at once. I'm like, okay, this was one. Let's do another one. This needs to come out. It needs to come out of my head, and I need to finish processing this. So it's really fun. It's life, life as what it's going on right here. It's very raw. It's very authentic. And it's like, I feel like I'm sharing, like I'm talking to you, it's okay. Let's talk about this. What's going on? Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it's me. It's just raw and authentic me.
I love it. I love it. And so what website do we send them to? I guess if they want to catch up with you, I'm sure after listening to this, there's going to be some people out there that want to find out what you're doing, follow this story, and see where you end up. Where do we want to send them?
So the easiest is my website. It's called thepowerlifecoach.com. And there is links to the podcast, and there's links to my social media. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. And I've been neglecting a little bit the other ones just because it's been too much work, and with the move and everything. Thepowerlifecoach.com. That's really the best place to get started.
You do great stuff in LinkedIn, by the way. And I do think for what you do, because you and I do, similar things in that we're talking about success and all of that. I think LinkedIn is a really good platform, and I love your photos. I love all your stuff that goes in there. So you're doing a great job, in that particular platform. So keep doing your thing. And I go back to this whole badass Iron Sister thing. I love it because I think that it's just embodies you. And I'm excited to see, where you travel and what you end up, along this journey. I think it's fun, and you're in a great place. So I say kudos to you for being able to you worked hard, you put yourself in this position so that you could do this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes,
fun.
it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to continuing to share.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we do want to say, of course, to our listeners, if you enjoy this episode, be sure you head on over to Apple, give us a review over there. You can check us out on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and reach out to Sabine so you can follow her and keep up with what she's doing and watch, listen to her podcast. It sounds like a fun thing. And I was going to say to that point, Sabine, that sometimes us talking through the things is how we work through the things, right? So
yes,
kudos
we do.
to you for being raw and authentic in that one.
Yes.
And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start. And every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you next time.